Hello and welcome to Interesting Conversations with Solopreneurs. I'm joined today by Sally Tyson and Lindsay Thomas, and we are talking about AI, an interesting conversation about how AI is changing the face of graphics design, branding for solo business owners. So if you're a solo business owner, and specifically if you're a solo business owner that's in that industry, if you work in design, in branding, if you're a creative, you need to listen up because this is where we have the interesting conversation. Sally, would you like to introduce yourself before we continue?
Hi, thanks, Lisa. I'm Sally Tyson from Saladbomb Creative, and I help mission-driven businesses with all things to do with branding, graphic design, with a particular focus on accessibility.
Yeah, and I love the stuff that you do on accessibility. You've taught me so much. One of the things that you brought up is about when I was working with you is the amount of people who, there's things like dyslexia, neurodivergence, like all of those different things can impact on how people see things, but also the amount of people with sight problems.
Yeah, it's something like 2.2 billion. It's like a ridiculous amount, obviously of varying levels, a lot more
accessing your content, which then prevents them from buying.
Exactly. So
one of the key rules around accessibility, especially for dyslexics, because I've done some work on this as well, Sally, which is great, it's such a great topic, is you shouldn't really be typing, or you shouldn't have type on a white background. You should always have slightly off white, because anybody with dyslexia
or slightly off black.
Or an off black. The colour around the colour situation scenarios around it are phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I've got a dyslexic child now, and seeing that is one thing in theory, but when you see it in real life and see the difference that it makes, and as solo business owners, we put so much energy and effort and time and our resources into creating content that people can see and find out what we're doing. And if people can't access it, not only is that, unethical, I think, because it's exclusive, but also we're leaving money on the table because those people who need and want our services.
Also, it isn't just, if you're making it easier for people that have issues accessing visual content, you're making it easier for everyone. Yes. Because there are certain things that you'll do within that just make it, even if you've got 20/20 vision and you're neurotypical and you haven't got any issues, it's still going to be easier for you to access it if you just move it that one step towards accessibility. It makes a lot of sense.
Everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lindsay, tell us about yourself.
Lindsay, thank you for having me on, Lisa. I'm Lindsay Thomas. I am a Brit living in Toronto. I am a brand strategist and designer, and I go by the name of the Brand Visioneer. And I really my focus at the moment is really working with experienced coaches. That's who tends to be my ideal client, whose brands are really quite misaligned with the expertise and the brilliance of themselves.
I get this real sense from you, Lindsay, that there's a lot of, it's this sense of really up-leveling, taking a brand, maybe somebody's been in business for quite a while and their brand is quite outdated, but it's like, if you want to be charging those higher prices, you've got to present yourself in a certain way that reflects that, and that's sort of where you come in. You're like, let's take you to the next level of your branding.
Yeah, completely, 100%. My background, although I am a graphic designer, I do like to take graphic design was a skill that I learned in my 20s. I just happened to be incredibly creative and have a great optical lens. My actual career has been in brand and strategy and marketing for 25 years. So I was just very lucky to be able to bring graphic design into my work when I was working in tourism, and as I've gone into pivot and work with entrepreneurs and female coaches. So for me, brand and branding are two different things. Branding comes under brand, but brand is that first piece. The positioning is so important, and getting that right before we even move into graphic design. And I don't think there's a lot of people that are out there doing that, if that makes sense. It's generally, in most cases, two separate jobs. So I come at it from both angles, what things are going to look like, but also are they going to work, and are they going to position you in a way that's going to align with who you are and your ideal client, and your personality and what you want people to perceive you as, and how much you want to charge, bottom line, really.
So we're here to have an interesting conversation about AI. I know it's been there in the background for a long time. Were you like, oh my God, this is a thing that is actually real and it's going to impact my business? Was there fear? Was there excitement? Was there curiosity?
Curious to begin with. So I have a friend who's another graphic designer, and he started posting, he'd basically signed up to Midjourney, and he started posting these incredible images of the Liverpool skyline, but like really fantastical. And I was like, what, how is he doing this? And then obviously I realized it was AI, and I almost signed up then. And then I started sort of think about it, and I started reading about it, and I started getting a bit concerned about the ethics behind it. So I didn't at that point. I kind of wish I had, but I'm glad that I sort of explored the ethical side of it first. The next thing that happened was everybody started coming out with these AI generated profile pictures. And it just sort of became, from a visual point of view, it just started becoming leeching in more and more, and you kept seeing it. And that really kicked off a load of concerns about the ethics, because it was clear that some of these were derivative.
Yeah.
I had concerns about copyright initially, still do, but it's really difficult, because I think as it's evolved, I've seen so many different discourse about it. Some people saying it is unethical, and other people saying no, it's not. And it depends on who you listen to, what kind of like ethical rabbit hole you want to go down. I haven't really used it very much for visual creativity, but I did start using it for writing, because writing is my block. I can do the creative stuff, I can do the visual stuff myself, but writing is where I would get stuck. And obviously I'd worked with you, Lisa, found that really helpful, and got myself to a point where I kind of knew what my mission was and I knew what I wanted to say, but I still struggled to actually sit down and write. And it's that sort of blank,
the time and the space and the clarity before you begin to do it.
Yeah, I've got ADHD as well, so I've kind of like, it's that whole body doubling side of thing I always really responded to when I was creating content.
AI comes into every scenario in business now, doesn't it? So my story with AI generally was, until Christmas I was staunchly against any AI. It held me back my entire life, and I would be a multi-millionaire now if it wasn't for my moral compass, my moral high ground. And that's what it was. It was just, no, I'm sorry, you can all go use it, but I've got all this experience and I do this and I can do it without that. So I've been working on behalf of one-on-one clients in the coaching industry for about just over 2 years, and the brand strategy piece, the positioning piece, is months and months and months of work, where I sit with them and dig really deep, and and out of the other end we come out with a positioning statement and zone of genius statements and lots of different pieces of positioning and copy, and I was doing all that completely manually, going out for 2-hour walks and trying to brainstorm in my head, but that's my zone of genius. I'm actually really good at that. And at Christmas, obviously it all kicked off, everybody was using it, and I thought, I'm just gonna plow one of these documents that I present to my clients at the end of a one-on-one project, which is called Powerhouse Positioning Brand Blueprint, and it's 16 pages of everything to do with their values, their tone of voice, all their brand DNA, everything that we create for them. And I put it in, and I sat there and I watched the screen after a couple of prompts, and I was just like, oh my effing God.
That's exactly.
Like, oh my God. And it was just like this epiphany moment, but more so because I knew that the documents that we were creating were like gold dust for this piece of tech.
Yeah.
So
you'd fed it. You see, you had fed it the good stuff.
So we fed it the good stuff, and so now ChatGPT has changed my life, but from a brand images perspective. So again, I was on my moral high ground until probably 3 months ago with AI. Not so much, Sally, you're talking about all this fantastical stuff and art, but purely just from a brand, personal brand photo shoot perspective. So people, creating AI photos of themselves to use on their website. So I posted about 3 months ago this post, typical Lindsay fashion, provocative as hell, all about how I am so anti this and that, and we should be standing up for the photographers and they're going to lose their jobs. And then I went on to invest in a coach in the US. She went, Lindsay, you've got to get off this high horse. The Americans love this shit, basically. If they can save a shit ton of money flying across to New York or wherever for a brand shoot, and if they're a 6-7 figure coach and they haven't the time for this, the Americans are going to be all over it. And I just started thinking, I'm missing a trick here. But I was very anti-Canva for a long time. I trained in Adobe, Illustrator, Photoshop, Quark, Quark Express and then into InDesign. So for a long time I was like, I'm not touching it, not touching it. And I did like shot myself in the foot a little bit, because now I love Canva.
Yeah.
I don't design logos in Canva, but I design graphics in Canva,
Yeah,
and
same.
bringing these AI images in that I've taught myself how to do. I mean, I've got this package and it's called Pimp Up My Branding, and it is selling like hotcakes right now. It's ridiculous. It's the best offer. It's gone crazy. It's gone absolutely crazy.
And that's
because
using the AI. That's
using, well, the if they want it, it's part of the package. So it's AI imagery, logo and graphics and color pairings and fonts and all of that. But then the AI imagery, obviously, I can dress them in whatever color they want and any Pantone reference they need to be in based on what I create for them. So visually, it's just attracting attention right now, and it's gone crazy. But what I will say is, and I think it's an age thing, I'm quite anti the video side of things. I don't want to go down that route.
it's
Creating,
because you've been anti Canva and anti the image.
well, I know.
So,
Yeah.
Give it 6 months.
Yeah.
I think it's also, for me, it's an age thing. I'm constantly thinking about, and I should know it, but I jump between my ideal client being, I mean, let's face it, the really successful coaches, and I'm only coming at it from a coach perspective, the ones, certainly these spiritual, human design led coaches, they're beautiful, they're stunning. They don't need all this, they don't need all these videos. They're the ones making a shit ton of money. The older ones, the mere mortals like ourselves, we need a little bit of extra, pizzazz. But with the video content, I'm not so sure though. Are we as mid-40-year-old women? I'm presuming there.
We're all there.
I just see that, and I can't engage with it. I can engage with the brand photography, just not so much the video. I find it a bit.
I think.
Yes. So I mean, I even with the photography, when you see them side by side, I think most of my clients they're selling them.
Yeah.
And I think that sheen of non-reality is a problem.
So
they're getting, I mean, I know that you can get so good that people can't tell the difference, but my daughter can tell. She's 40.
Well, I would challenge your daughter, Sally, and show her some of Lindsay's pictures.
Sally, the one, as a graphic designers, what we can do that nobody else. So what the problem is you get this waxy, soulless look.
Yeah.
Put it through Photoshop,
and
you can actually create. I mean, I'll send you some photos of what I've done, and you would never know, unless you went right in and zoomed right into the eyes, maybe where they are a bit, they're a bit. But you would never know. You never know, and that is what people need and want right now. So
it's all about doing post-production on top of them.
It is the post-production on top of the AI. Yeah.
But that is super interesting. That is, so it's the post-production, because I don't know how you do it, Lindsay. I mean,
I generate them and through not through ChatGPT. Oh no, I use an AI software called Flux Laura, and you have to feed it like at minimum 15 images of each individual. So it's not just taking one picture, it's taking, I can only describe it like the Fly film, like you remember with years ago,
I remember.
Where it basically blows every single one of these pictures up into millions and millions of pixels, and then based on the prompts, it puts them all back together.
I have this thing, right? Our humanness is all we've got. Yes, I use AI. And I'm teaching my clients how to use AI, and I love AI. Like, I've just joined a course of Losing Weight with AI by Julie Creffield. I'm all in, right? But there's something when you're selling your business as a personality, like Sally says, as an individual. I've almost started sharing really shit pictures of like an antidote to that. Like, look at me with my hair looking like a fucking state. Look at me in my pajamas. And like
crawling down.
Yeah, and Sally took a photo of herself literally crawling on the floor, making a point that she's crawling to the end of term time. I think it was, wasn't it? So it's like there's that. That rawness and that humanness. And I know that's not right for every brand. If you're working in corporates and you're sharing a picture of yourself in your hoodie and you're sitting there with your hair's all like this and your makeup squished across your face, that's not the right, it depends on your audience and what they want. Like, is there a perfectionist element to it that we're leaning into? So we're not happy with ourselves, so we make a perfect version.
There was that completely AI health influencer. And I'm like, how can you be a health influencer if you're not real? Like, and she's got a massive following and she's giving people health advice. And it's like, you're not human. So even if the advice is good. It's not based on any real experience of that. It's the same thing I have with photoshopping people to be thinner. You know, it's that technology. It's like, okay, we have this technology and it's going to get used for good and it's going to get used for bad. And like, how do we draw the line? How do we control the impact when it goes to, when you're using it for not very ethical purposes or to like con people, basically. Yeah. But that's the case with any kind of technology. It's the same with a hammer, isn't it? You've got a hammer, you can build a house with it, you can kill someone with it. So it's like, how do you use that tool? And can you say, just because that tool is, just because somebody's been killed with a hammer, you're never going to build anything ever again?
Does your brand feel a little bit all over the place? I'm Sally from Saladbomb Creative. I help mission-driven businesses create awesome, accessible brands so that they can increase their visibility and have a bigger impact. One of the easiest ways to build visibility is through consistency. So if your brand feels a little chaotic right now, then my free brand guidelines cheat sheet can help. It's packed with tips to keep your visuals on track so you can show it with confidence and stand out for all the right reasons. To download it, just head to saladbomb.co.uk or click the link below.
Your perspective, Lindsay, how do you feel about that perfectionist piece that I've seen some women particularly express concerns that it's that layer of perfection that women won't
just not achievable.
Themselves.
Well, I think you've followed me for quite a long time, Lisa, haven't you? Even back in my Girl About days, I am the most authentic person you will ever. I put myself in the online sphere in the most ridiculous predicaments, looking like absolute shit, and I do also have these AI images that I put out there that sit alongside. I'll go on and I've got no problem doing a live video. I'll just go and do it. I don't care what I look like. So for me, I don't see there being an issue because people see enough of me and the real Lindsay. You're right. If somebody's hiding behind that entirely, and I think that's, again, the worry with all of AI. I mean, the problem is now anybody can write high-performing, high-converting content. There doesn't have to be any substance behind it. They can sell anything to anybody based on AI. I think what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to come out and show our authentic selves more on video, on lives, to be trusted, really. Because AI, unfortunately,
video, can you even, like we said about video, with that coming out, where
you can't, and that's why I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think personally this video. I mean, I don't want to become known to be an AI video image generating specialist, because that's not what I am. It's just something I do as an add-on, but I won't be going down the video route. I mean, I have got one idea. I am going to do something that's quite funny and a bit of fun, but other than that, you're right, there has to be that balance between an AI generated photograph of you for something fun and you actually showing people your expertise and being able to talk about your expertise and being able to talk about your life authentically. It's just so important. That's the only way people are going to buy from you, isn't it, really? But then the question is, the generation ahead of us, our kids, that's going to be different for them, isn't it? They might not care. For us, and that's why I was mentioning earlier about the age thing, really understanding your ideal client. If your ideal client is 40 plus, she probably isn't going to get excited about some AI generated woman flouncing around.
Have you changed your services? Now, you mentioned, Lindsay, that you've included it in your service. Sally, have you done any changes to your service?
I haven't really changed my offers, but my process is probably being expedited.
Got you. So can you explain what's changed in the process?
So I will, I'll take all of the information that I normally would have trawled through and put it into AI and get an overview. And that's not like I won't then use that slavishly, but it just jumpstarts that process. In the same sort of ways, if I had a business partner or a design team around me and I was discussing things with them, I use AI to have those sort of discussions because it just helps me single out threads. So for instance, I might have like an hour-long conversation or longer with a client about what we want to do with their brand or the problems that they have or the things that I need to do for them. And then they might fill out a form and I might have other notes. And if I just stick all of that into AI, it will pull out all the common threads. And it's just a great way of shortcutting, basically. So it just means I can serve my clients more quickly.
As solo business owners, I think you really hit a real big point there about how bloody lonely it can be. When as a copywriter, the best copy that when I worked in teams, it was just in agencies and we had teams and we would work together. That was the most engaged, alive. I really believe that what we produced as a result was fantastic, because you would have people, you'd have different minds coming in, different ideas. You'd get somebody that would pick up on something you might have left out, or vice versa. And there was, obviously you have to have the right team, but there was a real sense of like having more than one brain in the room.
Yeah.
AI is the ultimate second brain.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to pay for a coach, do you, all of a sudden? You could just use AI. It's great.
Well, I'm definitely going to be talking next week. I'm talking to coaches. Realistically, like, people are turning to AI for all sorts. And some of it's great and some of it's not so great. Some of it has a place, and then there's that next level. But I think for solo business owners, who are the people that I talk to, having that second brain it's another level, because it just means that you're not just sitting there with those thoughts going around your head on your own. And I don't think if you've not been in that position, nobody realises what that's.
Yeah,
I think you've touched on something else there as well, because part of the problem with AI is that it hallucinates and it makes stuff up that sounds very, very plausible. So I tend to use it more for stuff that I'm giving it and getting it to regurgitate it. I tend not to use it for research, or I will, but then if it's something I definitely don't know, I'll then go and corroborate it, because that's gonna sometimes.
That's going to be the thing that separates the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, isn't it? And I've got a really good, I don't know if you know this, Sally, but a really good tip if you struggle, with copy and writing. So what I do, and I am like a social media whore, I post 3 times a day on Facebook, but the way I get around that is, and you can only really do this if you've got a shit ton of expertise and and experience behind you, is I have a dictaphone app on my phone, and I will talk into it a post, and then I will transcribe it into ChatGPT, and I've got something that's from my own head, not from regurgitated crap online, but from my own head within 2 minutes. As a great post. So that's
when I learned that I could do that, because leaving voice notes for myself and other people is Sally's laugh. She's had a few of my voice notes. It's my hobby. It's how I process. It's, even if I've got nobody to leave them to, I leave them to myself. Like, I cannot stop talking. It's like just an urge. It's a craving. I can't stop. And so to be able to capture that and not for it not to be lost, and I have like full tutorials and stuff on that with clients that I work.
That's been a game changer for me. As Turbo Script, it's called, is the app that I use. It's brilliant.
I literally just voice note and then just download the script, download the transcript and pop it into chat. And that's why I pay for Chat Pro, because because the transcripts otherwise are too long of my own voice notes. They won't take it. So I had to pay for that reason. Lindsay, what about you? You mentioned that you've included it. Have you got did you decide to create full AI services, or have you integrated?
I have got one full AI service, which is just purely a portfolio of images that I can do on behalf of people. And again, that's the very much, professional headshot website, social media images. I'm not going down this fantastical, crazy route. It's just the better, the more real, the better. And I've also got this new offer called Pimp Up My Branding, which is quite controversial, but, it's getting traction. And that includes AI imagery, again, as part of as an option, but included within the price, so that I think, as I mentioned earlier, create the AI images on brand with the rest of whatever we create.
And how have you found your audience responding when you put out, when you're saying, I can do this and I'm doing this with AI and I can do this for you with AI? What was the response from your audience that wasn't obviously used to you doing AI stuff? Because up until Christmas, you were like, oh no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really. I actually think it's what it is. It's scroll stopping. So it's not even like anybody's questioning what I did before. It's just, I'm recognizing this woman for what she's doing, and me having to build on that story. You know, I don't want to be pigeonholed into the AI photo queen, because that takes away from the strategist that I am. So it's just down to me to be in my content all the time, talking about all the different things that I do. I mean, I have, you know, other offers that are much, you know, more expensive, that are much more about brand strategy and positioning, and AI images are not included, because I think for that type of woman, she probably does want to go do, and she probably can afford to, and probably does want to go do the brand photo shoot. And, you know, that is a big part of that whole rebrand for her as well. So yeah, I suppose, again, a lot of my clients are American. I'm writing a chapter for a book at the moment via one of these authors in the US, and in this particular book, there's like 26 different chapters from 26 different women. So I was given permission to put something in the Facebook group for this particular book, and books after that through this publishing company, and I had a phenomenal response. Everybody just wants a quick image, a nice image of themselves to include in the book. So that was a no-brainer.
It's interesting, because so is your ideal client is female, right? So do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering whether
it's like, I don't know. I don't know whether men would be as bothered.
Men probably are as bothered. But I have had male clients. I did have one male client, and he was just like,
that's so sexist.
He got his wife to take some photos of him, and he was like, oh, I don't like them, I need some more taking. Yeah, depends on the man, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
guess it's not a gender thing really, but there are some individuals who want to go and have that experience, and some individuals that don't. Some individuals that care about that, and some individuals that don't.
I mean, another thing with AI imagery, Sally, and you'll get this as well, is it's low resolution. You can't print it. It's low res. You know, it's not high resolution photography. You can't go blow it up.
I even thought about resolution.
Yeah, completely. So again,
it's only online content, really.
Telling people, you know, in my guide, my AI guide that I've created using ChatGPT, of course. But just what I mean is just the instructions of what I need, and, you know, T's and C's. It says very clearly, this is low resolution photography. You know, you can't use it. You can't blow it up. You can't do anything other than have it at a certain size on, you know, on your website. Even if you blew it up to the size of a screen at just over 2,000 pixels, you know, in width, it's still gonna pixelize. It's not ideal for that.
You may not know the answer to this, but I'm just curious. Is that because AI is constantly developing, evolving, improving? Is that something that's likely to change in the future, or is this?
Well, no, because imagery on the internet, unless it's pulling it from a high resolution image file from somewhere, it's always going to pull from 72 DPI, which is low res imagery. That is, unless somebody's stupidly uploaded a load of high-res images to their website and it's pulling from that, but then their website will be incredibly slow and won't be very optimized. You know, you've got to have your images at such a small size.
I don't know whether, because Adobe's got AI tools now included, hasn't it? So I don't know whether if you were purely using stuff that you'd uploaded, it might be able to output a higher resolution. I don't know. But it's still everything else that it's pulling in is going to be low res.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if when I'm doing these AI photo shoot portfolios, you know, I have 15 images of the woman herself, her head, and then I have, you know, go find me some images of go find me some brand photo shoot images of what you want to be wearing, how you want to be sat, and it's pulling it in from that. So that's low res images on the internet. It's, you know, it's not. You know, you might be lucky and pull in but then again, you're pulling in so many different pieces of information. You know, it's not, again, just one image photoshopped a head on a body. It's so many different things.
If there's gaps, it's then going to go off and look wherever, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's when you end up with like a 6 finger or a
extra elbow. And
it's clearly made by men, because everybody gets massive tits and you've got to reprompt it, and everybody always has a wedding ring on. It's just like, honestly, it's like, why does everybody automatically have a fucking wedding ring on? It's like, is this some sort of Andrew Tate shit? You know?
Hello, I'm Lindsay, the Brand Visioneer, and aside from being a really shit hot branding designer, my zone of genius is really helping you to really understand your zone of genius, and then building a brand that is powerful and magnetic. My zone of genius is building strategic brands and engineering them from the inside out so that you become the authority in your niche. So check out my website, www.thebrandvisioneer.com, and take a look at my offers. to include Pimp Up My Branding and the Signature Build, which is a 3-month program where I work with you one-on-one to really engineer your brilliance into a coaching brand that's compelling and ultimately a commercial powerhouse.
There was a conversation going on, or like talking to ChatGPT about a female doctor and a male patient, and it kept insisting on putting the genders back to a male doctor and a female patient.
So ironic,
and it was like you literally, every time you asked and re-prompted it, and it just tied itself up in knots trying to explain.
And of course, it's the same I've seen with race. There's like inherent racism, inherent sexism that can come through, and it needs that user to be aware, to be conscious, to be like questioning about the output and not just take the output as a given. So yeah, that's.
I think as graphic designers, we've always had that problem. I know that, you know, using stock imagery, it's always, you know, so many white people, so many, you know, Caucasian people, and you're desperately trying to find some diversity. It's so difficult. Even now, I would say if you go into Canva, you've got like, it's almost, dare I say it, it's almost a little bit tokenistic, the lack of diversity there is in these, you know, this stock imagery.
Something that's,
and I mean, in a way, actually, maybe that would be a good use of AI, because I mean, I can remember I had one experience. I was working on a publication for an organisation, and it was about, majority was about their staff. You looked for stock imagery, like there was images of the people that they worked with, and then the rest of it I tried to fill with stock imagery. So I was trying to get more, you know, people of colour in, and one of the board commented that it wasn't very diverse, and I was like, that's because your staff aren't very diverse.
Maybe you should look at your hiring policy.
You need to go to the HR department for that.
It's ingrained in every part of society, isn't it?
But then you're taking opportunities away from models of colour. It's so, you know,
it's a minefield. It absolutely is.
Really
and I mean, we haven't got. We could go around in circles in so many ways talking about this, because each subject, each top part of it, unleashes a whole other sort of brainstorm.
We've not even touched on energy and how ChatGPT versus Gemini. Like, some of them are actually using less energy. I think, is it Google's Gemini, for example? I use ChatGPT, but I know people won't for the energy reason.
I didn't know that, and I'm going to do an episode on energy so I'm definitely interested in having that conversation further then as well. I really would like to know, to finish off, what do you think other creative people, branding, designers, potentially writers, that people in that sphere who are working with other business owners, so B2B, what are the skills that they need to be looking at? What are the things that you think people need to keep themselves relevant? Because it's true, AI is going to put some people out of business. There is no doubt about that. But so did the digital camera. It put people out of business. So did the trains. It put people out. You know, every development we've had has put businesses come and businesses go. If you're not meeting the needs of your clients anymore, you won't be in business anymore. So in what do you think branding, creative solo business owners should be focusing on right now? What do you think, Lindsay?
My personal opinion on this is very, very strong, and this is what I teach. For me, it's all about your zone of genius. It's about staying true to yourself. It's about leading from a place of integrity. And when I talk about the zone of genius, I talk about the intersection between your natural born talents, your passions, your skills, your experience, your qualifications, your quirks. It's about bringing AI in to support that, and that is how I hope it develops moving forward. I wouldn't want to be in a world where all of that stuff is just cast aside and it's all AI. I want to be in a world where we each take our unique self and we can use AI to enhance that.
Fantastic, it's beautiful. Sally, what would you say to creative business owners right now?
Yeah, very similar to Lindsay. I think you can't ignore it. You can't pretend it's not happened, as much as we might want to put, Pandora's box away. It's out there.
30 years ago, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop it.
And I think you need to get involved, learn about it, and then decide how much you want to use it, which bits are going to be useful to you. And also talk to your clients about whether they want you using it, I think that's a very, very individual choice for everybody, really. But you can't make that decision unless you learn about it and research it and look into it.
Then you can make informed decisions. One of the things I talk about all the time is like, what does your ideal client need to know right now? I know that's one of those questions, Sally, that I ask you and it drives you nuts. But then you can ask AI and it helps. But what does your ideal client need to know right now? And so what are your ideal client thinking, feeling and doing right now? I've got another client who I was talking to who she's really excited by AI. She loves it. She thinks of all these potentials, but her ideal clients who are teachers are like, they don't want anything as far as they're concerned. It's cheating. They're like pull it, and she's like, I don't know how to convince them. And I said, you have to go and start, if you really are passionate about it and you really believe it's going to help education in the way that you're talking about, then you need to start the conversation where they are. You need to meet them where they are. And I
know kids that are using it to help them revise for exams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it certainly can be a really good tool. It's not about cheating, and I think a lot of people see it as cheating, but it's just a tool, isn't it, at the end of the day, and it's how you use it that matters. Hi, it's Editing Lisa here. I just want to say thank you for listening to the first episode with graphic designers and branding experts talking about AI and how it is impacting the industry for solo business owners. I'm very keen to talk to other people from other industries, other solo business owners, small business owners that are also navigating all of this and trying to work out a way forward, which we're all trying to do. We're all just trying to put food on the table. We're trying to get through each day. We're trying to keep clients coming in and doing what we love. So please, if you think you would like to contribute and have a conversation, if you've got, if you're excited by AI or you're terrified by it, or you're angry by it, like whatever those emotions are, let's have an interesting conversation. And in the meantime, I have a freebie myself. It's literally it's a free guide, a free journaling prompts around helping you to position yourself better in a world of AI. So if you think AI might be coming for your job, if you think people are not hiring you and they're going with AI instead, then this is your way of working through that problem so you can get your messaging tighter and show people that coming to you as a human is really worth it. Check out my next episode next week on coaches and how coaches are coping with the changes in the world because of AI.
Like, okay, we have this technology and it's going to get used for good and it's going to get used for bad. And how do we draw the line? How do we control the impact when it goes to, when you're using it for not very ethical purposes or to con people, basically. But that's the case with any kind of technology. It's the same with a hammer, isn't it? You've got a hammer, you can build a house with it, you can kill someone with it. So it's how do you use that tool? And can you say, just because that tool is, just because somebody's been killed with a hammer, you're never going to build anything ever again? So it's it's full of, ethical.
That's a great analogy.